Ethan Greenhart, author of Can I Recycle My Granny? Committed ethicist, green writer and activist. Thank you for joining me. Ethan, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. You have some views that, it has to be said, are quite radical. So just to give people a taste of the kind of stuff that you're what's your view on euthanasia? My
view on euthanasia is that it's potentially a very useful device for reducing what I like to refer to as the human plague, which is this kind of swarming mass of humanity that's crawling all over Gaia's face, or on Mother Earth's surface. And there are at least 5.5 billion too many of us. And
how many of us are there in total?
Around 6.5 billion.
6.5.
And I think probably Mother Earth can cope with 1 billion maximum.
Right.
So anything which can reduce that, what I like to call the disease of humanitis, the better. In terms of whittling us down and reducing the amount of damage we're doing to Mother Earth.
Very good. I know one way you're planning to reduce that, and we'll get to that in a minute. But just confetti. Confetti
is an absolute no-no. I refer to it in my book as the wedding day equivalent of acid rain. Because what people don't realise is that confetti is full of dye and ink and various other poisonous substances created by mankind, or what I prefer to call man-unkind. And this confetti seeps into the soil, poisons the earth, and really hurts Mother Earth in ways that we don't appreciate. So I've launched a campaign against confetti, the anti-confetti campaign lobby, which visits weddings on the day that they're taking place and tries to convince people through rational argument that they should not throw confetti.
Okay, so you wouldn't be chaining yourself to the altar and stuff, just be kind of...
Not just yet, but if people don't start paying attention, you never know.
No, don't rule anything out. And then travel?
Travel. People should never travel anywhere unless they can reach it by foot or by coracle. And the coracle should ideally be made from recyclable wood, of course. Flying is easily the most evil form of travel, especially cheap flights, which allow cheap people, for want of a better phrase, to travel the earth, litter foreign countries, fornicate all over the place, for no purpose whatsoever. So all forms of flying should be severely restricted by high taxes. Cars are polluting the planet. Cars are a no-no. Even bicycles are really unacceptable because the tyres in bicycles are made from petroleum, aspects of petroleum, and as we know, petroleum causes all the wars and all the unkindness and terrorism and other bad things in the world.
Cyclists aren't getting off that easily?
No.
Rightly so. So it does beg several questions, one of which is it ethical to get married?
It's ethical to get married if you do it in the right way. Most people do it in the wrong way because they're a bit stupid. So, for example, they will wear silk dresses, even though silk is derived from the torture and imprisonment without trial of worms.
I didn't know that.
Silk is tugged from worms against their consent, which is absolutely unacceptable. Or people wear polyester dresses, which are very harmful to the environment. So, for example, one way in which people could do it better is to do what my wife, Sheba, did, which is to wear a dress made from bamboo.
Really?
Yes, and bamboo is a device that's now been used more and more in fashion. And we recycled our dress afterwards by sending it to a panda sanctuary.
Fantastic.
Where, because it was bamboo, it was consumed by the pandas and eventually returned to the earth in the form of panda feces. And I think that's really the only acceptable way to have a wedding dress. Doesn't
sound very comfortable.
No, my wife got a rash, but we both agreed eventually that the rash was worthwhile because the dress allowed us to show not only our love for each other, but our love for Mother Earth, which is the most important love of all, of course.
Now, you are married and, starting a family, is that,
No, people should not have children. Mother Earth hates nothing more than the pitter-patter of tiny carbon footprints. And, people think, babies, they're so cute, bless their cotton socks. But they don't realise how damaging cotton socks are to the environment. Cotton is an extremely useful resource for Mother Earth, and we have no right to dig it up and turn it into socks for children. Also, children grow up to be scud missiles of carbon that are fired at Mother Earth. They wear unnecessary fashionable clothes, they wear leather trainers, they buy computer games and TVs. They are really dangerous entities, and I think people should be discouraged from having them as much as is possible.
It kind of, an extension of that is it more kind of eco-friendly to be gay?
Yes.
It is.
Being gay is the highest form of ethical living. Because gay people are less likely to have children, to put it bluntly. And so I think that probably gay people are programmed in that way by, the requirements of nature to protect itself from rampant heterosexuality, which is the most damaging thing on the earth at the moment. So it's far more ethical to be gay than straight.
Yeah, a very, very efficient way of curtailing the surplus population as well, isn't it?
Yes. Of course,
that dream figure you have in mind of 1 billion people.
Yeah, 1 billion at the most. If it ever goes over that, we're in trouble. But I think homosexuality should be promoted much more widely. It should definitely be promoted in schools as a superior form of living. And then the more that we do that, the less heterosexual people there will be, the less children there will be, and the less damage to the planet.
To the environment. A few other little quickies. Christmas immoral?
Christmas, I refuse to say that word. I call it Winterval. Winterval, the celebration of the seasonal shift, which is what we used to call it before it became a celebration of another mouth to feed, i.e. Jesus Christ. Christmas should not be celebrated by anyone. I mean, just look at the decorations people use. They put dead trees in their homes. A day, which is just a daily reminder of the horrors of deforestation, all these mutilated pines that are spread around people's homes at Christmas. And look at the carols people sing, the 12 days of Christmas, they give, which sings about giving people the gift of a partridge in a pear tree. If you look at that song, it talks about giving gifts, 23 birds as gifts, 17 women as gifts. These songs are really speciesist, misogynistic and consumerist, and they should definitely be banned.
And you also have, there's a book there you recommend parents should mark Christmas morning with?
Yes, every Christmas morning I read to my 2 children from a book called The Turkey That Had Its Breast Carved Off and Other Modern Fairy Tales, which is about the torture and the horror that turkeys have to endure just so we can eat them and pass them through our bodies.
You have strong views on restaurants and sports, but really the one that I think is kind of making your name in this argument is your views on your granny. What exactly do you feel about your granny?
My granny, like all people's grannies and old people in general, should be recycled. I think it's completely unacceptable to bury people in the earth because, the earth is getting full up with dead human beings, to put it bluntly. Cremation is also completely unacceptable because what happens when you cremate someone is that their fillings burn and all these various other bits of them burn and create pollution. So, even when people are dead, mankind is so arrogant that even when we're dead, we continue to pollute the planet. So burial and cremation are really unacceptable. And instead, people should be recycled as much as is possible. They can be, their bodies can be demolished and turned into a form of humanure, which is manure made from humans, which can then be used to grow plants and leaves and crops and things that will sustain the small number of human beings left behind. But it's really unacceptable to sanctify our bodies in the way that we do, as if our bodies are worth sanctifying. They're not. We should accept that we must return to Mother Earth, and everyone, it should be the law, in fact, that everyone who dies be recycled as something potentially useful.
Yeah, well, if not useful in life, at least in death.
Exactly.
Now, we have a clip from a song from you. I think we're just going to have a quick listen to this now.
Things are looking dire for our Earth Mother Gaia. A parasite is on her face. I think it's called the human race. The reason she's so needy is that people are so greedy. 6 billion of us carbon emitting, copulating, eating and shitting. Why won't the humans die? The world would be a better place without us. Die, why won't the humans die? Why can't it be the humans that die out?